Welcome back to Cottage Designs by Erin. I'm going to be talking to you about sampler quilts. I am very fond of sampler quilts. The quilt behind me is one that I made when I was 34 years old, and it's the first full-size bed sampler that I've ever made. So basically, here's what I know about sampler quilts. They were very popular in the 17 and 1800s, and they were made for specific special gifts. And they were kind of a way to show off a person's needleworking skills. Okay, so they were made for anniversaries, as wedding gifts, for the birth of a child, and they became very popular. Now, what's nice about a sampler quilt is that every block is different. I loved making this. It took me 6 months to make this quilt, but it was wonderful in the fact that I wasn't making the same block over and over. If I had to make a California King out of 50 Jacob's Ladders blocks, I would not be able to handle the monotony. So what's nice about this is that each block is different. So I love the design aspect. I made this red, white, and green because this was a gift for my grandmother for her birthday, my great-grandmother. She was Italian, and I made it in honor of the Italian flag, which is those colors. And I also added a little bit of black to it because this had the red, white, and green in it. So I purchased a book with all the templates in it. This is from the 90s, and it's called Learning to Quilt, A Beginner's Guide. It's by Leisure Arts. The last time I was at Joann Fabrics, they still had this. If you can't find it there, you can find it on eBay and also on Etsy. So the finished product, they did theirs in a different color scheme. It consists of 20 12-inch blocks. Now, if for some reason you don't like all the blocks in this particular book, you can pick any 12-inch block that you prefer. So for example, this block came out of the McCall's Quilting magazine, and really I just wanted it as a challenge. This took a lot of time. It has a bazillion pieces, and I just wanted to really see if I could master this particular block. So the book starts off with lesson 1, and lesson 1 is the rail fence, which is down at the bottom of my quilt. And then as you progress throughout the book, each lesson is a little bit harder. So by the time you get to lesson 21, you are doing set-in Y seams, and you're also doing needle turn applique. Now, when I made this, I was not interested in learning how to do applique. So I did the easiest block that I could do, which was a buttonhole stitch kitty cat. My grandmother loved cats. She had a cat named Twinkle that she was very fond of. And so this is how the cat made it on the quilt. Okay, and I also did an applique heart down on one of the other blocks, because anybody can do a blanket stitch. That's really easy. So basically, you want to pick out 4 basic colors. You need to pick out your background color. I tend to like white. I like cottage white, where some people are more into beige. My daughter prefers beige in her house because she has a husband, 2 dogs in the house, and 2 little boys, and she doesn't want anything to show any kind of dirt or stain, and so she does not want me to make her quilts out of pure white. So that's your first choice. Your next option is you need to pick 3 or 4 other colors. You don't want to get too sporadic, because then the blocks will not have flow. So pick 3 colors and your background color. Next, you need to decide, how big do you want the blocks to be? Clearly, if you're going to use a smaller block, you're going to have more of them. This particular quilt has 20 12-inch blocks, and then the borders. Okay, so the sashing strips, you have some choices here as well. You could do a piece sashing if you wanted to. I would never, but you could. You could also do a setting square, which I personally hate. I just like to do the strips all the way across because it's easier. You could do anything you want to with the border. You could do a pieced border, an applique border, a piano key border. I just chose to go with this striped fabric, and this fits a double bed. So I measured from the top of the mattress down how long it would need to be. So by the time she received it, she had a white dust ruffle on the bed, and this touched the dust ruffle so that everything was covered like it should be. So sadly, my grandmother, she passed away years ago when my daughter was in high school. And when she passed away, I received the quilt back. So it's currently in storage. We don't use it. I just took tremendous joy in making it for her. As I said earlier, it took me 6 months to make, and it was several $100s way back when to go ahead and have it quilted. But it was a great learning experience. I mean, I would not know how to make most of these blocks had it not been for this particular project. So I would suggest anyone try to make a sampler quilt if you're interested in them. Currently, this day and age, they're called block of the month. Okay, so they're not called sampler quilts anymore. They're block of the month. But I have taken some of the blocks out of this book, and I made a beautiful 6-block baby quilt for a friend. And I made it in eggplant purple, lavender, and cream, and it turned out very pretty. So I hope you've learned a little bit about sampler quilts. And if you would like, please subscribe to my channel. I'll have more videos for you in the future. Thank you.